We interrupt our program to bring you a special broadcast.
Boom! Headshot!
Hey, it's Clay. Welcome to another League of Legends video. This is going to be a why buy on Singed, the Mad Chemist. He is a champion in League of Legends, top laner, and one of the more interesting champions, I think. He's actually one of my first loves. He was probably the first solo top melee laner that I picked up and was very much enjoying and interested in getting a nice little flip there on Aurelia, and we're not going to be able to get her killed. One quick random note too, I just got a new headset, microphone, so and all that jazz. So recording this video with my brand new headset, pretty excited about it. It is a different Turtle Beach. I believe this is the DX12. I think my old one was, I don't even remember, but it was wireless. And I hated the fact that it was wireless, and the mic was starting to die out on me. It was just not so good. So I got a new headset. So if you have any thoughts or comments on the mic quality, I would love to hear down in the comment section below if you hear anything different. If not, then all is good. But anyways, let's talk about Singed. So Singed is quite a fun champion to play. Like I said, he was one of the first champions that I picked up in League of Legends when I got, thought, hey, I need to get a top laner. I started on 80 carry. I think I picked up maybe a mage second, and then I went over to this guy Singed, the Mad Chemist. He is quite the Mad Chemist. But Singed, he has quite a reputation for being a very troll champion. He has a very unique playstyle. In League of Legends is a very, it's a game of heavy psychology. There's a lot of mental, whatever you want to call it, going back and forth. But Singed is especially so in that type of a champion category. One who is very much dependent on manipulating mindset, manipulating kind of what people think. You can see we're going in for a nice little gank here. Oh, see, that was unfortunate. I actually flipped and then ran out of mana at just the wrong moment. So a very unfortunate gank there. I flipped out of the Aatrox knockup. So very, very unfortunate there. But anyways, Singed. He's a lot of fun to play. He definitely, like I said, is the champion. Very much relies on manipulating psychology and just being a bit of a troll. If you've ever heard the old adage is don't chase Singed, that is definitely true, because Singed is somebody who really wants to be obnoxious and get in your face and be really annoying. I would say his primary role is being a tank. He excels at being a bit of a straight tank. He can be built as a bit of an off-tank, and you get some AP and some utility as well, so there's definitely some variety there, but a tank of some sort is definitely his best asset. He's a very, very strong farmer, probably one of the strongest farmers in the game, which has risen to kind of, those two combinations have kind of given rise to this, it's called a proxy Singed strategy, if you guys have ever heard of that. I believe Druid Droid is the guy who is responsible for a lot of this. But the basic idea there is that you kind of die a couple times, get your gold value very, very low, but then you go ahead and run inside their base, and you start proxying waves inside their base between the inhibitor and the Nexus turrets. And it's an extremely effective strategy because it, again, just really plays on that psychology element. Who's gonna? There's nobody in top lane. There's no counterplay with your top laner. But there's also no minion waves there to hold, so you have to send someone up there to hold those minion waves, otherwise your turret's just going to fall, and you're going to lose a ton of CS and experience. But on the flip side, if you just kind of let him go, then you're kind of giving up what would be a free kill, although it's a free kill that is much lower in gold value, so kind of a tit for tat there. But we'll talk some more about that later. But anyways, Singed. Let's talk about what makes him so good and kind of why I enjoy him. Let's talk about his abilities. His passive, this is Empowered Bulwark. This is a very strong passive, and definitely one that is very core to his gameplay style and his build style. So basically, if you build mana, you gain additional health. So you can see right here, I actually have gained 161 bonus health, and that's actually stacking up because I have a tier, and that is because I have 706 mana, and I have a tier of the Goddess, which is giving me even more mana per second and everything. So very, very strong passive, definitely one thing that lends to his tankiness, and it very much synergizes with his kit, his damage, and pretty much his entire kit is centered around his Q ability, which is his Poison Trail. You can see that's a little blue puff of cloud right that I lay right there, and it's a continuous toggleable ability. So I'm using it to farm these waves. And so you build mana so you can leave your Q on pretty much all the time and farm, and then you get health out of it as well. So very, very nice. Basically, you want to have a mana item. You know, a lot of nice tank items are mana items. You know, things like a Frozen Heart, Rod of Ages, Tear. You know, all those types of mana items are very, very good on Singed, and it just allows him to build very cost effectively. And he has a very he'll you know, towards the end of the game. You know, this is one reason why Singed is strong, is because he scales extremely well into late game, and part of that is because of his passive, because it allows him to really to maximize his gold value and take advantage of, you know, if you're buying mana items, you are also buying health. So very, very nice stacking passive right there. Next up is his Q, Poison Trail. This is, like I said, his primary damaging ability. TF, a bit of a fail right there, my friend. But basically, it is a toggleable ability. As long as you have mana, you can sustain it, and he will lay a Poison Trail that trails behind him as he runs. You can see I sometimes toggle it on in lane as I run back to lane to stack my tier, but there it is right there. Stacking it, putting it on and off every couple of seconds to stack up my tier, but it actually has pretty solid damage and a pretty strong AP scaling ratio. It does damage over time for 3 seconds. 30% AP per second, but 90% if you get all 3 of those seconds stacking together. So anyways, makes him very, very, very strong. You can see I'm using it to as these guys chasing me down. Watch this. Kassadin, poor Kassadin follows me in. Again, like I said before, never chase Singed. That's the exact reason right there. I was leaving my Poison Trail on, and again, like I was saying, and actually I kind of want to watch this whole series again. I don't think TF is going to actually get anything here. So Kassadin, and you can see Kassadin and totally lost my mind. Aurelia are chasing me here. They think they've got me dead to rights. I pop my ulti, throw down my W, and they have my Q going this entire time. They're taking continuous and sustained damage, and Kassadin falls. You know, the poison is just such an effective damaging source if people are chasing you. You really want to get people to chase after you so they run through your poison. That's the whole way in which Singed will do damage, is to get people to chase him. So you really want to be obnoxious, you want to be annoying, you want to be bait. All those things are, you see right here, I'm at low health, but I'm still kind of staying around. I want to give Aurelia the chance to maybe jump to me if she wants to. But just really want to make sure that I'm doing my part to be very annoying and obnoxious. You know, this Poison Trail, it works especially well with certain items like a Rylai's works really, really nicely. Then basically you create a big slow field. You can see I'm taking a couple of turret shots. Oh, and I end up going down there to try to help my team out, but no, Aurelia. Actually, she didn't actually get any damage off on that, but I do end up dying there. But anyways, like I was saying, Rylai's works very, very well. You know, maybe even like a Leandry's if you're going for a very high damage build. That could be a pretty solid choice. Give you some of that magic pen and that burn over time. That could be very, very solid right there. It just gives you a lot of options, you know, with certain build choices. Allows you to, it's his primary farming tool. You can see here, I just leaving it on, running through these minion waves. You very rarely use anything else to farm with on Singed. He's extremely powerful at proxying waves. I'm just going to run up to this wave, put my Q on, run all the way back, and then run all the way forwards, and by that time the whole wave will be dead. So it makes him an extremely efficient farmer. It makes him a very strong split pusher as well. That's another thing to notice, is that he has very high mobility. But he also has extremely high farming potential. And it kind of has a mixture of other things. In his ultimate and his W, he's got great mobility. You can see Aurelia is just chasing me this whole way, and I am not scared at all. I'm going to pop my ulti, and I'm going to be fine. You know, I'm not scared at all. My Q allows me to really farm and deal continuous damage as people chase me. Next up is his W. This is his Mega Adhesive. It is an AoE slow. And it's possibly one of the strongest and largest AoE slows in the entire game, and one of the reasons why it makes Singed a fairly effective tank is because he provides some nice soft crowd control here with this nice slow. Like I said, if you buy something like a Rylai's and combine it with your W, you are a slowing machine. If anyone is even remotely near you, they're probably going to be slowed. But basically the idea here is that put a point in this early on and then max it last. Oh, by the way, you want to max your Q first. Definitely want to max your Q first for the farming and for the damage. But you want to max your W last, and you want to, you know, focus more on its landing this in team fights or ganks, allowing you to get as much slow off on as many people as you possibly can. Pretty straightforward ability, but nonetheless quite strong and definitely a core part of his kit. Next up is his E. This is his Fling, another good CC and damaging ability. Basically, Singed will grab onto a unit within melee range and flip them behind himself, kind of similar. There, you can see I used it right there on Aurelia, similar to like a volley bearer Fling. But provides him with some nice hard CC here, actually, compared to the soft CC from his slow. You know, the CC, the flip is very, very nice. You can run at a carry and flip them into your team. It actually has fairly high damage scaling, so I like to max this second. Maybe even take a point in this early on and use it as kind of a primary harassing damage tool in lane. But then later on, you definitely want to make sure that you're focusing on diving towards the carry and flipping them into your team out of position. Having a flip like this is very, very nice. So a very good ability right here. Again, providing him with some nice CC, allowing him to be a nice tank. You may not necessarily be doing a ton of damage, but you are... see, I actually forgot to leave my Q on. That's silly me. You may not be doing a ton of damage, but you are going to be providing some crowd control and just some annoyance factor, kind of a fear factor type thing. And then up is his ultimate. This is extremely core to his gameplay. Insanity Potion. Basically, it's a self-boost steroid. It gives him a ton of stats. It gives him 35 ability power, 35 armor, 35 magic resist, 35 movement speed, 35 health regen. You can see getting a nice flip, Q, and then ignite to get that kill. Health regen, mana regen for 25 seconds, which is actually an extremely long period of time. Getting another flip there, but unfortunately Twisted Fate wasn't able to get any damage onto that Aurelia. But Insanity Potion, it actually was nerfed. It used to grant CC reduction, tenacity as well, and that was extremely broken, but just absurdly powerful. But nonetheless, it provides you a massive ton of stats. The movement speed and the increased armor and magic resist in particular are extremely effective. Again, one of the nicest things about him that makes him a very strong tank is he can just kind of flip on his ultimate and just run around. If you also have Ghost, is a really nice summoner spell to take with, just because it allows you to really run roughshod through an enemy team. You can be such a disruptive force with this movement speed, and it just is something that makes him very scary. Again, this also makes him a very strong split pusher, because he can push a lane heavy. You see, I haven't left this top lane. I'm just going to push it over and over again. As I picked up a Rod of Ages here, I'm going to be very, very strong, giving me a lot of mana and health, which will stack with itself on my passive. So I'm a very strong split pusher here. It's going to be very difficult for anyone to kill me, just because I have a lot of crowd control, and I've got my Insanity Potion. And it's also on a relatively short cooldown, so it lasts for 25 seconds. That's the big thing to remember. So after 25 is done, you have roughly a, if my math is correct, roughly a 70-second cooldown, which is relatively short. So just over a minute. And if you go to town, it's going to take you about a minute to kind of get back in the game. So again, really, really nice here. Just the mobility that it brings is fantastic. Let's see here if I'm gonna pop it on. I believe it is active right now, and I'm just running after. Finally, gonna flip that, cast it in over, and help pick up that kill. And now I'm in a bit of trouble, but the movement speed is gonna allow me to just run right along home. I could even pick up one more creep just for kicks. And I've got 3 people chasing me, and allowing my bot lane to push out infinitely. The ultimate is really core to his kit. There's just nothing more you can say about it. The movement speed and the tankiness is just so crucial to him. But anyways, those are his abilities, and I want to talk a little bit more just about Singed in general. I've hinted at it a little bit, but playing Singed, you really have to tap into this trolling mentality. If you really want to be successful with Singed, you want to make the enemy team hate you. You want to, at the end of the game, you want the enemy team to be so frustrated because they're playing against you. Singed is the ultimate troll. He is the ultimate in psychology. He's the ultimate in... basically, I'm just going to farm proxy these waves over and over again, and there's nothing Aurelia can do about it. There's nothing that she can do to harm me. I'm just running circles around here to renew this poison. I'm not afraid of her at all. I'm going to flip her just for kicks. I'm not really even necessarily trying to kill her. I did throw it on an Ignite, and I did also throw it on my W and my ultimate. She dove right back into my poison, which is a little silly of her, and I do end up picking the kill with my Fling. But Singed really is not about picking up kills. He's not necessarily the greatest tank. Just if you look at statistics, the champion like Malphite or some of the other, you know, more stereotypical tanks, Bear. You know, some of them are statistically better. You know, they've got, you know, maybe a Rammus, they've got some sort of steroid or shield or something like that. You know, Singed has his ulti, but really what makes Singed effective as a tank is the psychology, that he's obnoxious and he forces, you know, the enemy team to try and kill him just because they're annoyed with him. Not necessarily because he's incredibly strong, but just because he's annoying. You know, with the adage, don't chase Singed, it rings true because you want to chase Singed. You want, with everything in your body, to just run after this stupid chemist with this stupid poison running around him. He's just obnoxious to deal with in lane. He's obnoxious to deal with. You know, because the thing is that even if you get him down, and even if you kill him, he scales really well into late game with his passive and with his CC. That if he can get some, you know, he's going to farm really well. That's pretty much a given. He's a very, very strong farmer. You know, there's pretty much nothing you can do to truly keep him down. You know, so, you know, really with Singed, you want to really try and make sure that you're channeling that mentality, that troll mentality, where you want to be obnoxious. You want to be the guy that the enemy team hates. And you can see right here, I'm running into 3 members of the enemy team just for kicks. Not because I really think I'm going to get a kill, but just because, why not? You know, all 5 members of the enemy team are on the mini-map right now. But I'm going to pop my ulti, I'm going to get a Fling, get some poison, try to get this Aurelia, try to get in front of her, throw down my W. Quite an epic chase, but watch how many members of the enemy team are chasing after. I just picked up a kill on Lee Sin, I didn't even know it. You know, Cassidy's going to chase after me, great. Whoop-de-doo. Chase after me all you want, Cassidy, I'm fine. You know, I actually am almost going to pick up a kill on him, almost without the heal. Throwing out my W. Just chasing this enemy team mercilessly through, just being the ultimate in terms of a troll, in terms of someone who's annoying to deal with. You know, just think about the mentality. I just flipped and got a kill. Gonna have this Cassidy. You can follow me all you want, my friend, because I'm gonna be doing lots of damage to you. And he is gonna die right there for a double kill. Vayne, though, with her passive, is probably gonna catch me and get the shutdown, but that last little series right there, I think, was just extremely quintessential of what makes a good Singed. You know, he is all about, you know, that troll mentality, that mentality where you're trying to get the enemy team to chase you and just be really annoyed with you. And like I said, you're tanky, not necessarily because you are statistically tanky. You get a lot of tankiness from your ult and your passive, but you are tanky simply because the enemy team hates you and they want to kill you, so they focus you. That is what makes him such an effective tank. But let's talk a little bit about you know, itemization. You definitely want to get some mana on Singed. You can see in this build I went for a Tear first. Tear is fantastic on Singed for a couple of reasons. Number one, he can stack it very quickly. He's very, very fast at stacking the Tear from his Q. You can pretty much leave it on, once you get to a certain point, you can pretty much just leave it on indefinitely. You can see the Tear is already stacked at this point, 23 minutes into the game. And it probably was stacked already before this, so very, very fast. And the Tear is better, a Tear is more effective the faster you can stack it. And then you turn it into a Seraph's Embrace, which number one gives you a shield, helps you to be tanky. Oh, I really should have gone for a flip there, I don't know why I didn't. But, oh, getting a nice flip right there on the Cassidy. But once you get the Seraphs, that gives you a shield, but the biggest thing that it also does is it allows you to turn your mana into ability power, which is really crucial on Singed because a lot, you can see I'm actually in trouble here, but a lot of the tank items that Singed is interested in also give mana, so turning mana into ability power is very, very effective on Singed. So basically, any mana you build, you are double stacking it. Not only are you turning it to health with your passive, but you're turning it into AP with your Seraph's Embrace. So it makes mana just even more effective. So items like Rod of Ages, an item like Frozen Heart, is just so good on Singed. Anything that has mana is a very, very good item on Singed automatically, just because of those two core functions. You know, like I said, the Rylai's is really, really good because then anybody caught in my poison is pretty much dead from the slow. And like at this Vayne right here, she's totally dead. Nothing gonna work for her at all. You know, from here, you know, I pretty much would just build straight tanky. You know, a giant spell item is okay. You know, definitely tankiness is good. But I would prefer a mana item. Like I said, Frozen Heart is very, very good. But yeah, overall, you really, you just want to tap into that tank mentality on Singed. You want to be a tank. Talk a little bit about his weaknesses. He has no gap closer, so he's prone to being kited. And especially since they tweaked his ultimate so that it no longer grants tenacity, it only kind of grants, you know, the other stats, but not the tenacity. He is prone to crowd control, so, you know, as a tank, he has a harder time initiating compared to some of the other tanks. You can see I'm proxying these waves. So I got 3 of their members of the enemy team chasing after me. 4 now, so, and I'm not in the least bit concerned. I'm actually doing a lot of damage to this Vayne. Oh, I slow spoke a little bit too early. Good heal from Soraka. I'm going to pop my ulti and just run away. But, oh my goodness, am I really... Oh, I was going to say, if I really make it out of here, that'd be crazy. But that was a good little section right there. You can see just how much I am doing, and I'm pretty much giving my team free choice to do whatever they want. You know, if you look at the objectives, you know, it's not necessarily that this game I'm doing so particularly well, but if you look at the objectives, we don't have a single outer turret gone, and we are pushing into their base like crazy. You know, people are spending so much time focusing on me, that they're having a hard time focusing on the objectives. But again, to get back to some of Singed's weaknesses, just because I feel like that's worth mentioning, he is prone to being kited. He's also has very, very little range. He has 0 ranged spells, 0 ranged damaging spells. He's got his E, which is a melee range fling, and then he's got his Q, which is also melee ranged, or at least following range, if that is a range. So 0 range, and is prone to being poked down. Somebody like Teemo is generally considered a very strong counter to Singed, and maybe also a Kennen, just because with their range and their poke, they can really whittle him down and very much prevent him from getting going. I know that's, like I said, Singed is a very strong farmer, and he's not necessarily really able to be shut down, but if you are able to kind of really keep him down early on and give yourself a big lead, it can really kind of nullify a lot of his strengths. Because a lot of Singed tankiness isn't just from natural tankiness, it's more from, has to do, you see, getting a really ton of damage right there onto this guy. It's more due to the items that he buys rather than natural tankiness, like someone like Nasus, who has just kind of a tankiness built into their, or maybe Cho'Gath, tankiness is built into their kit. With Singed, it's a little bit more about getting items. Although I did say that mana turns into health, which gives him some natural tankiness. But and actually, let's check that. How much? I'm getting a almost 668 free health. That's very, very nice. You know, definitely prone to being kited, prone to being poked down with range. Doesn't have the best initiation for a tank, but Singed really does make up for it in a lot of different ways. He has a lot of strengths, just in his. The sheer, like his ability to stack into scale in the late game is very, very nice. You know, he's definitely a tank that is, you know, once he gets a lot of items, he's capable of really dealing a lot of damage as well, which is a bit makes him a bit unique in terms of tanks. He's probably one of the highest damaging tanks in the game, and he also brings a ton of utility. You know, especially if you get Rylai's, so his Q slows, his W is a massive AoE slow, and then his E is a flip. All of that crowd control is just really, really, really critical to your team. But as you see, we're really shoving down this base, and I'm taking turret aggro. Got 3 people chasing after me. Gonna get another kill on this poor Lee Sin, who have just totally devastated all game long. But you know, and if you look at my score, wow, I actually do have 11 kills. That's actually kind of a lot. So doing quite well, but. I would say that a successful Singed is more about the mentality, the infliction of mental anguish and frustration and pain, rather than you know, just kind of being this tank who is super strong for other reasons. I would say that Singed's greatest strength is truly in the psychology. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Singed is a lot of fun to play and extremely obnoxious to play against. And if you can pick him up, I think he's a valuable addition to any top laner's champion pool. Makes for a very successful and fun tank to play. But yeah, something to consider. You know, he is lacking a little bit in terms of, you know, when he lost the tenacity in his ultimate, that definitely was a pretty big blow to him. Now he has a little bit of a harder time just kind of running freely through teams. You know, before he could pretty much pop his ultimate and ghost and then be running literal circles around the enemy AD carry, forcing them to auto attack him, and then of course, not auto-attacking higher priority targets, just because he had so much tenacity. But now that he doesn't have that, he's a little bit more, gets a little bit more caught up in team fights, isn't quite so able to run around like he pleases, but still is a very, very strong option for a lot of the reasons I mentioned. And really, I would say, again, if you can tap into that mentality and abuse the mental edge that he creates over your enemies, it's a really powerful tool, and it's not to be underestimated. I've said in videos before that, you know, the psychology of League of Legends is extremely important. If you can get that enemy team to be very dejected mentally, you have a huge edge, and Singed is the master at doing that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to cut it off here as I'm well past time, but I really like Singed. I think he's a really cool champion. But hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you soon. Bye.